We are appreciating this submission, and there are some others that we will weave into this conversation as well. It's on the minds of a lot of people. Contrast does not have to become strong for a world or for an individual. You as an individual can do something about the way you feel. We know there are subjects that make it seem easier and subjects that make it feel impossible. That's why we want to talk about this just a little bit with all of you. And any of you who are uncomfortable with this, this is the last conversation, and so you can tune out now if this seems like it's introducing into your experience something unwanted rather than soothing it, because it could be doing either. You as an individual have to decide. Contrast is a good thing. Contrast, as it gets greater and greater and greater, becomes more and more clarifying. And as individuals, you get to choose, whether you realize it or not, how far into any contrast you become in order to launch your beneficial and meaningful rockets of desires. Now, as we move through some of these written questions, we'll get closer to answering you who has set the video. I'm from Ukraine, and now Russia started a war. I'm crying while I'm writing to you. I planned my vacation before in advance and left Ukraine a few days before Putin started the war. But all of my relatives are there, and I'm really worried about them and the future of mine and my parents, my sisters and brothers. I am now in a very beautiful place, paying a lot of money for the hotel where I'm staying, and I'm thinking I should have stayed there. I could have, thinking better, I would have saved them, and other negative thoughts. I'm writing to you while my sister, who is in Kiev, went to hide in a shelter because they just said that it would be bombed. Please advise how to create a bright future for myself. Dear Abraham, please clarify why there will always be war. I'm watching on my iPhone the forces moving to Kiev, where family and friends live. They do not want this war, and they're hurting. I cannot get to the level of seeing this from the upper half of the emotional guidance scale. Understandable, we know. But your inner being does, so hang in there with us for a little bit. Please help me to regain my balance. What is an evolved enlightened response to Putin's invasion of Ukraine? Loving indifference. Abraham, I loved hearing your story about how Jerry used to carry a fire extinguisher in the car and hop out and help anyone he saw who had an engine fire. You said something like, sometimes what is needed is not meditation or prayer, but a fire extinguisher. I was heartbroken this week by the news from Ukraine. I wish I had a fire extinguisher of love and peace, hold that thought for a little bit, to spray all over Ukraine. I live far away from there, and I don't know how to be of immediate assistance. What can I do? I know when I feel heartbroken, I cannot be helping because of the negative emotion I'm feeling. Is it enough to work on helping myself feel better? Yeah. Right now, when others are in such dire need, it's going to take some doing, but you can do it. You can slow the train at least. Are prayers and meditation helpful? Yeah, especially from the upper half of the scale. And when those you want to help are far away and out of reach, or what would be the fire extinguisher in this instance? You said it already, it's flooding it with well-being and pure positive energy. Hang in here with us a little bit here. Here's another submission. Dear friends, dear beings, and all of us who are part of that which we are currently calling Abraham, I'm writing from Europe on Friday morning. Such intense contrast is ripping out from the eastern borders. During the night, I wondered what happens if I apply what I've learned from my years of awareness and vibration exploration. What happens if I look through my eyes of inner being, of alignment with Source? I decided for as long as I could to look away from the difficulty of what is and to focus instead on what is being created in our collective vortex by the huge, you have no idea how huge asking, the very great wanting, and without really being able to pinpoint how I was sensing it or exactly what I was sensing. We're reading directly from this, what this person has submitted. I found the expansion. I found enormous expansion, and it was beautiful, breathtaking. It didn't take away from people's suffering, but it helped me have an idea of where they are headed. It helped me to ride a wave of compassion and love. You often say, Abraham, that one who is in alignment with Source is more powerful than many who aren't. And I feel so good about that power. I sought it on purpose because it seemed it was the one thing I could do in relationship to what is happening. If I am all right and shining, then I'm adding to the radiance in the world. I'm standing in the beam of the expansion. I am following with my inspired action, which right now is to enjoy and communicate all of this awareness. You sort of offered a sort of fire extinguisher, friend. It's fun to use poetic language for this, fitting for the wonderful feelings. Early this morning, to support and ease my tender perspective, I walked to the sea at dawn. My husband said, as I was leaving the house, I hope the sun rises okay today. I'll let you know, I said. And there it was, shielded in a faint mist far over the water, the golden orb slowly, inexorably rising up, without burning my eyes, growing at the horizon and clearing the horizon. Birds calling, swooping everywhere, all excited at this dawning that happens anew every day. When I remember all of this, I feel refreshed, and it helps. Thanks for all the teamwork, everyone. So, you've been listening to us for a while, and you've been hearing us say often about how helpful it can be for you to get out ahead of things. So you've been putting things in your creation box, lots of launching of rockets of desires since this invasion, for sure. Desires about a more benevolent world, a more understanding world, a world that is big enough for everyone. Lots of rockets of desire. And you have undoubtedly, some of you at least, most of you perhaps, pushed hard against injustices, obvious things that feel like injustices, and from every logical perspective are injustices. And if you've been practicing deactivating and practicing activating, if you're aware of the direction of your train, if you're aware of the existence of your inner being, if you're aware of the existence of source energy, if you remember the conversations that we've had, that when you ask, any of you ask, that your inner being is all over what you're asking for and gathers through the powerful law of attraction all cooperative components for the fulfillment of your desire. That's what this magnificent, clear-minded author understood as she wrote this magnificent note to all of us. I found the expansion, enormous expansion. It was beautiful, breathtaking. It didn't take away from suffering, but it helped me have an idea of where they are headed. You heard us say again today how most people are offering most of their vibration based upon what they are looking at right now. And for those people who are in harm's way, who are frightened, who are suffering, it would be a lot to ask of them to not be aware of what's happening right now, and hard to imagine it not dominating their thought because it's so pervasive around them. But what about the rest of us? What about source energy? What about all of you? What about those of you who are able to remain in the vicinity of source energy? That even though when you turn your attention to it, it can take your breath away, and it can make you lose your connection. But knowing what you know, isn't this the value that your inner beings offer to you every day, and that you have the ability to offer to one another? Aren't you capable of focusing upon what is wanted, what is in the process of becoming? Can't you feel the gestation? Can't you feel the long time coming of this desire out into the open, where it can be focused upon with greater efficiency and determination and connection and alignment? You've heard us say often, things are always working out for you. And sometimes you think that that is a true statement, and sometimes you think that it is not, based upon what's going on close up around you when you hear it. But is our promise to you, things are always working out for you. And that no matter how it seems in any point in time, that the well-being of that which is you, the source energy from which you come, the all that isness that we all are, we are pure positive energy. There is love and disallowance of it. That's all. That's what our friend earlier was getting at. She was feeling that we were coming around to this powerful conversation. There is love and absence of it, or pinching off of it. And do you know, in the non-physical, where your inner being dwells, where we all hang around together, in this vibration that is that of pure love, there is not one, not ever, particle of judgment or concern about any of you who are currently standing in a place where you can't just right now, in this red hot minute, get hold of that. That's all right. Source has hold of it. And lots of physical humans are getting hold of it. Focus upon the evolution of that which you are. And desire well-being for all. Resist the temptation to push hard against any of this, because that renders you incapable of being part of the solution, even if it feels justified. And wouldn't it be nice if everyone, if all of us playing here together today could be as our dear heart who wrote in, wouldn't it be nice if you could say, I found the expansion, enormous expansion, and it was beautiful and breathtaking.